Hello, this is Kay from Essential Korean. 안녕하세요. Essential Korean K쌤입니다. 잘 지냈어요? Have you been well? Today's episode is an extension of the previous episode, which centered on the Korean present tense and its meanings. To reinforce the key points covered in the last episode, let's do a few more examples, but this time with a little more context. Imagine it's Saturday evening. You're home preparing dinner and your phone rings. You answer the phone and find it's your Korean neighbor. She asks what you're up to and if you're busy. 지금 뭐 해요? 바빠요? What are you doing now? Are you busy? The verb 해요 is, of course, in the simple present tense form, describing an action presently in progress. Pretend to be the neighbor for a second and repeat after me to ask, what are you doing now? Are you busy? In Korean. 지금 뭐 해요? 바빠요? 지금 뭐 해요? 바빠요? 지금 뭐 해요? 바빠요? How would you answer the question? You are preparing dinner, so you can say 지금 저녁 준비해요. 지금, now, 저녁, dinner, 준비해요. The informal polite style in the present tense form of the verb 준비하다, to prepare, describing an action currently in progress. Please repeat after me to answer the neighbor's question. 지금 뭐 해요? 바빠요? By telling her, I'm preparing dinner. Please repeat after me. 지금 저녁 준비해요. 지금 저녁 준비해요. 지금 저녁 준비해요. To your answer, 지금 저녁 준비해요. She responds first with, 아, 정말요? Ah, really? She's surprised because you've told her before that you don't cook on the weekends. Pretend to be the neighbor and express surprise by saying, 아, 정말요? Ah, really? Please repeat after me. 아, 정말요? 아, 정말요? Since you know why she's surprised, you explain to her. 주중에는 배달 음식 자주 먹어요. Meaning, during weekdays, I eat delivery food often. 주중에는, during the weekdays, 배달, delivery, 음식, food, 자주, often, 먹어요, which is the informal polite style in the present tense of the verb 먹다, to eat. Unlike the previous verbs in the present tense form, describing actions presently in progress, the present tense form here is being used to describe an action one does on a regular basis. Then you also tell her something else. 그런데 요즘은 주말에 요리 많이 해요. But these days, I cook a lot on weekends. 그런데, but, 요즘, these days, followed by the contrastive particle 은, 주말, weekend, followed by the temporal particle 에. 요리, cooking, 많이, a lot, and 해요, the present tense form of the verb 하다, to do. Putting all these parts together, we have 그런데 요즘은 주말에 요리 많이 해요. But these days, I cook a lot on weekends. Let's also do some review. Why do we include the 은 here? Well, the contrastive particle 은 suggests that maybe in the past you also ate delivery food on the weekends, but these days you cook on the weekends instead. Let's imagine you eat delivery food often during weekdays and cook a lot on the weekend. First, 주중에는 배달 음식 자주 먹어요. During weekdays, I eat delivery food often. Don't be intimidated by this sentence because it sounds longer than the previous sentences from the last episode. Focus on the chunks. Visualize yourself placing these short chunks on a linear line one at a time to create the meaning you intend to communicate. Please repeat after me. During weekdays, 주중에는 delivery food, 배달 음식. Often eat, 자주 먹어요. 주중에는 배달 음식, 자주 먹어요. 주중에는 배달 음식 자주 먹어요. Now, 그런데 요즘은 주말에 요리 많이 해요. But these days, I cook a lot on weekends. Again, focus on the chunks and visualize placing the chunks on a linear line to create your intended meaning. Please repeat after me. By the way, these days, 그런데 요즘은 on the weekends, cooking. 주말에 요리 a lot do. 많이 해요. 그런데 요즘은 주말에 요리 많이 해요. 그런데 요즘은 주말에 요리 많이 해요. You just said, but these days I cook a lot on the weekends. Very nice. You're doing great. Next, the neighbor responds to your explanation and asks what you are making. 아, 그래요? 뭐 만들어요? Ah, really? What are you making? The verb here, 만들어요, is a simple present tense form being used to describe an action presently in progress. 아, 그래요? Ah, really? 뭐, what? 만들어요, the informal polite in the present tense form of the verb 만들다, to make. Pretend you are the neighbor for a moment and repeat after me to say, ah, really? What are you making? In Korean. 아, 그래요? 뭐? 만들어요? 아, 그래요? 뭐 만들어요? 아, 그래요? 뭐 만들어요? You may notice that in the English translation, make is in the ing form, the present progressive form in English. So, what are you making? Let's imagine you happen to be making your first 김치찌개, kimchi stew, right now. How exciting! I feel as if I can smell it. I think 김치찌개 is one of the easiest dishes to make. It's very hard to go wrong. Freshly made kimchi is not ideal for 김치찌개, but if you have old kimchi in your fridge, try this simple recipe. Put some sesame oil in a pot, wait until it's hot enough, add the kimchi and stir fry first, and then add a can of tuna fish or pork, depending on what you prefer, then add some water. How much? Totally up to you. Whatever you prefer. If you like thicker stew, go easy on the amount of water, but if you like a more soupy type, add more water. And let it boil. For how long? One of the reasons why I say it's such an easy dish to make is because there's no complicated measuring or cooking time involved. Just make sure you let it boil first in high heat and then a little more in low heat. But one thing I'll tell you is that many Koreans would And I too agree that it always tastes better the next day when you reheat it and eat. Not many dishes are like that, right? As someone who doesn't enjoy a complicated cooking process, at least not nearly as much as I enjoy eating, I love dishes that are easy to prepare. And their leftovers are actually better than when they're served new. With kimchi찌개, of course, you would need a bowl of rice along with packaged Korean kim, which is seasoned, slightly oiled, and seared dried seaweed, which is readily available in Korean markets, and a sunny side up egg placed on the rice. This combo is how I would prepare for a simple meal on any given day. Oh well, enough kimchi찌개 and back to the phone call. How would you respond to your neighbor's question? 뭐 만들어요? That's right. You would say, 지금 김치찌개 만들어요. I am making kimchi stew or 김치찌개 now, using the present tense form to describe an action presently in progress. Let's put the parts together to say, I'm making kimchi stew now. Please repeat after me. 지금 김치찌개 만들어요. 지금 김치찌개 만들어요. 지금 김치찌개 만들어요. Upon learning that you are preparing dinner, the neighbor urges you to go ahead and continue preparing. 아, 그럼 빨리 준비해요. Then, 빨리, in a hurry, 준비해요. The informal polite style of the verb 준비하다, to prepare, in the present tense. Then she also adds this phrase, which corresponds to enjoy the dinner in English. 저녁 맛있게 드세요, where 저녁 is dinner, 맛있게 is an adverbial form of the verb 맛있다, to be delicious, and 드세요, which is the honorific level, informal polite style in the present tense and means eat. The direct translation of this phrase, 저녁 맛있게 드세요, would be eat deliciously. But more natural translation would be enjoy the dinner. The two verbs 준비해요 of 빨리 준비해요, go ahead and prepare, and 드세요 of the last sentence, 저녁 맛있게 드세요, please enjoy the dinner, both are in the present tense, acting as a command or urging others what to do. Pretend to be the neighbor and repeat after me to say, then go ahead and prepare. 그럼 빨리 준비해요. 그럼 빨리 준비해요. 그럼 빨리 준비해요. And lastly, tell her to enjoy the dinner. Please repeat after me. 저녁 맛있게 드세요. 저녁 맛있게 드세요. 저녁 맛있게 드세요. And even though I mention it often, because it's an integral part of the language, make sure to review the episode on speech levels and styles if you still have difficulty with the subject. And because you're in the middle of making dinner, you can't talk with your neighbor too long. So you tell her you'll call her later. 네, 이따가 전화할게요. Yes, I'll call you later. 이따가, later, and 전화할게요, will call. We won't go in details about this verbal ending 게요 today, but just learn this as an expression you can use to express one's own intention, not others, which is relevant to the other person, letting the other know that you'll call them later. This ending will be introduced in a separate episode, so stay tuned. For now, please repeat after me. 네, 이따가 전화할게요. 네, 이따가 전화할게요. 네, 이따가 전화할게요. Excellent. You did great handling a phone call in Korean. Before I let you go, let's go over one more time the phone call from a neighbor when you are preparing dinner. You eat delivery food often weekdays, but these days you've been cooking a lot on weekends instead. Upon learning you're preparing dinner, your neighbor urges you to go back to cooking and tells you to enjoy the dinner. You say you'll call her later. That's the gist of the phone conversation. Please listen as you imagine the situation. 지금 뭐해요? 바빠요? What are you doing now? Are you busy? 지금 저녁 준비해요. I'm preparing dinner. 정말요? Really? 주중에는 배달 음식 자주 먹어요. 그런데 요즘은 주말에 요리 많이 해요. During weekdays, I eat delivery food often. But these days, I cook a lot on the weekends. 그래요? 뭐 만들어요? Really? What are you making? 지금 김치찌개 만들어요. I'm making 김치찌개 now. 그럼 빨리 준비해요. 맛있게 드세요. Then go ahead and prepare. Enjoy the food. 네, 이따가 전화할게요. Yes, I'll call you later. Now, you will only hear Korean, and your goal will be trying to provide the English translation. Our final exercise will involve you creating the Korean from the English. So it's also important to try remembering how the conversation goes in Korean. Let's try the listening comprehension first though. 지금 뭐 해요? 바빠요? 지금 저녁 준비해요. 정말요? 주중에는 배달 음식 자주 먹어요. 그런데 요즘은 주말에 요리 많이 해요. 그래요? 뭐 만들어요? 지금 김치찌개 만들어요. 그럼 빨리 준비해요. 맛있게 드세요. 네, 이따가 전화할게요. Alright, our final exercise. Now I'll provide the English. You'll have to say the Korean. It's challenging, but this is how you learn and develop mastery over the conversation. Are you ready? Let's give it a try. What are you doing now? Are you busy? I'm preparing dinner. Really? During weekdays, I eat delivery food often. But these days, I cook a lot on the weekends. Really? What are you making? I'm making kimchi stew. Then go ahead and prepare. Enjoy the food. Yes, I'll call you later. Very nice. We're done with the practice. If you like those types of exercises, we have dozens of them in our courses on the website, so consider joining the membership. It will also be a great opportunity to meet with others in the EK community to regularly practice with. We have an awesome group that meets regularly, and having others to practice with makes every practice session the best it can be. All right. I hope today's episode reinforced the key lesson points, the present tense form and its meanings discussed in the last episode. Keep up the good work, everyone, and see you next episode. 고맙습니다. 안녕히 계세요.